Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for the second feedback loop for our LMS standards. Right now we're going to be reviewing the second draft. You'll notice that in this document that I'll be reviewing, the changes made from the first draft to the second draft have been highlighted in yellow so that you can more easily see the changes that have been made. The most efficient way to use this video would be to do a side-by-side screen like I have here, except on one of your screens you'll have this video that we're viewing right now, and on the other side of your screen you can have the form up so that you can go along with the video and make your selections as I explain them, of course pausing if you need a little more time to think. So let's go ahead and get started so I can get this done in the 15 minutes allotted to this video. So here we have homepage and we have the form option over here. The changes that have been made is this addition of during the first 2 weeks. So teachers will set their homepage option to syllabus for the first 2 weeks so that students can and their parents or guardians more easily access, read, and return the syllabus. After those 2 weeks, the teacher can choose from any of the homepage options provided by Canvas. We do suggest, however, that you keep it as syllabus or go to the module view because those are the ones most useful to students. But ultimately, it's your choice as to what best fits your class. All right, so now let's move on to announcement tools, which is our next item. So the changes that have been made to the announcement tools is that only changes have been made to the DLD assignments section. So you'll see that instead of it being in Parent Square, it's now in Canvas so that there's consistency within the policy, and that you do not need to post DLD assignments until 8 a.m. on the day of the DLD, so that that post can instead be used as a reminder to students as to what their DLD assignment is. Please note that due to the change of moving it from Parent Square to Canvas means that parents will not see the Canvas post about the DLD assignment. So they will not be able to see the instructions that you've given to your students. However, what admin will do is that they'll send out an automated message at 8:30 a.m. through Parent Square, notifying parents and guardians that assignments can be found in Canvas so that there will at least be some type of notification. All right, so moving on to the next section, we have calendar. We don't have a change to the policy itself, but rather clarifications based upon feedback that expressed some confusion and expressed some questions. So the first thing is, when should I set deadlines in my calendar? This policy only applies to graded, major, minor, and homework assignments. So if something's ungraded, you don't need to put it in the calendar. Also, it does not apply to single day in-class assignments. You don't need to put those in there. Also, clarification that deadlines can absolutely be extended to meet the needs of students. And then lastly, alternative deadlines can be set for IEP and 504 extended deadline accommodations, and that can actually be done automatically. So you don't need to manually change the calendar. You don't need to go and tell the student if you don't feel that's necessary. It can actually be built into Canvas so that it automatically populates on that student with the accommodations calendar. All right, so let's move to our next item, which is grade groups. So the change here is, again, just a clarification, and it's to the homework AI policy reference, and that's acknowledging that department-level addendums to the AI policy have been noted through previous documentation and will be honored specifically for the homework AI policy. So next, we have grade weights. So we can see that the entire grade weight section has changed. It's all yellow. It's a lot of yellow snow. So a significant change is grade level varying weights. So in our previous PD where we discussed this, we had a lot of input about grade weights varying by grade level. And we got limited support for this, and we're not entirely sure why. So we do want some clarity on that, which we'll see in the next question. But if the limited support continues past this feedback cycle, we'll no longer pursue this approach. If you did really want this approach, there will be an opportunity for you in the forum to express that. The next thing is another significant change to the grade weights themselves. So teachers will use the grade weight ranges listed below. And again, these grade weights can be automatically set up in Canvas for automated use to create ease of using it. And so the grade weight ranges are as follows. So major grades can be between 50 and 55%, minor grades can be between 30 and 35%, and homework and classwork grades can be between 10 and 20%. Please note that participation can be put in any of these categories depending upon how significant participation is to your class. And also there is an exception if these ranges just don't work for your class. With approval from administration and instructional coaches, AP teachers specifically can alter grade weights to be used outside these ranges just because the AP curriculum is so different from kind of the standard North Carolina curriculum. Now over here, you can give kind of your general feelings about this policy, but you can also give some more specific feedback. So for instance, if you put mostly support or do not support, it gives you some options as to communicate why you feel that way, specifically about the ranges. And then also, if you did really like the idea of grade weights being grade level specific, it gives you a way to indicate that here. All right, let's move on to the next section. So the next section is rate of grading and grade entry, which actually has 3 related questions in your form. So the first part is rate of grading. So the changes are that we've gone from 1 to 2 grades to 1 to 3 grades per week to allow a little more kind of options depending on how you run your class. And this is also a change that a lot of people asked for. It's gone from only being major and minor to major, minor, and classwork/homework. So if you just want your 1 grade for the week to be a homework assignment, that's okay, go for it. So that change has been made. Also, just some clarifications. If it's a shortened week, so for instance, if we have a 2-day week, it's acknowledged that this policy will not apply. You might not have a grade to give in a 2-day week, and that's okay. Also a clarification, teachers have full autonomy over how many assignments they can collect. You can collect 20 assignments if you would like. That would be a lot for a week, but yeah, sure, 20. But then you choose the 1 to 3 that you would like to grade based upon which were most important to the student's success for that week. And so please note this if you're kind of concerned about that grade collection component. Also, there are some questions about oversight, how this would be enforced. Instructional coaches will review teacher grade books to ensure that 1 to 3 grade entries are occurring per week. So that will be the oversight element. All right, so that's for this question here. Now let's move on to grade entry. So actually, I think this is the same. So please prioritize entering 0 grades for missing work. But here we have some changes. So for grade entry deadlines, major assignment grades will be entered within a month from the deadline. All other grades will be entered within 2 weeks from the deadline. So this kind of corresponds with this 1 to 3 grades per week. Teachers asked, do I have to do it within the week that I assigned it? No. We do want to see 1 to 3 grades per week in the grade book, but that might be work assigned in previous weeks. And so we see this, if it's a major assignment, there is a month to grade that. If it's any other type of assignment, there's 2 weeks to grade that. And then it would be counted in your 1 to 3 grades per week. Please note that quarter, semester, and end of year grade deadlines take precedence and will be honored by teachers over these 2 items here. And this policy applies to on-time work and makeup work, and therefore does not apply to late work. So this major assignment grade deadline and these other grade deadlines only apply to work that students submit to you on time, or if they were out with an excused absence, their makeup work will be graded within this deadline period. But if a student turns in something late, you just need to have that graded by the end of the quarter that it was assigned. All right, so for the next question, for grade return, this is a new element. Graded major and minor work will be returned to the student. This automatically occurs in Canvas as you give feedback, but work graded on paper, that does need to be returned to students so that they can see why they received the grade that they received. Whew. All right, let's move on to our next item. So next item is assessments. We only have a minor change here. It says if multiple teachers teach a common class, the teachers will agree upon a common retake policy to ensure equity. For example, if two teachers both teach English 3, they'll agree upon a retake policy for their tests and essays. And please note that those two teachers could agree, hey, we're not going to offer retakes, and that's okay. But if one teacher wants to offer retakes, then a compromise needs to be reached where the two teachers are doing the same thing. All right, let's go to the next one, which is deadline policy. So we have some changes in here. One, just to clarify, the 5% grade deduction is for each day. Also, please note that this can be automated. We had some feedback that teachers felt like this would just be too complicated. It's automated, and you can set it up in your LMS so that it does it for you. Also, for clarifications, students can receive less than 50% on work. They're essentially receiving 50% of the grade they would have received. So if the student turns in the assignment 2 weeks late and receives a 60 score, you would take 50% of that, and ultimately they would get a 30%. And if the student does not turn anything in, they can receive a 0 grade on that assignment. Also, for late minor assignments, please note the same automation, clarification, and clarification points up here. So these apply also to late minor assignments. All right, so next up we have the excused absences makeup policy. So we have a lot of changes here. For instance, you can see for this policy, an excused absence qualifies as an absence due to sickness, injury, or family emergencies, and teachers may contact a parent or guardian to confirm that the absence is indeed excused for these reasons. We had a lot of concerns that some students receive excused absences for reasons that would not prevent them from doing their work in a way that's fair to other students. And so we've added this element here to ensure that it is a fair makeup policy. Also, for students who are absent for 1 day, they still have 1 day to make up that work. That has not changed. However, at teacher discretion, a student can or will be expected to complete major assignments the day they return to school. For instance, they must take the test that they missed the day they get back. They must submit the project that they missed the day they get back. And they do not receive additional time for these long-term assignments. Of course, that's at the teacher discretion, but this is here if you choose to use it. For students who are absent to 2 to 4 consecutive days, they still receive 3 days for each absence. However, at the teacher's discretion, students may be expected to complete major assignments the day they return. The expectation will depend upon the date that the major assignment was assigned in comparison to the date that their absence began. So for instance, if you assigned a project and then the student was absent for the 4 days following that because they were sick, they should get additional time to do it. However, if the project was assigned 2 weeks before their 4 days of being sick, they would still be considered to turn it in, they would need to turn it in. For students with excused absences that exceed 4 consecutive class periods, they will have a reduced workload still, where they only need to make up critical assignments, major and minor ones, and they will receive extended time on tests and projects, aka major assignments. All right, let's go to our next one, which is deadline support. So here we have during the next school year, teachers will meet with students on equal rotation. That has stayed the same. There's clarification as to what the goals of those meetings are. It's to support student familiarization with the new LMS because it's going to be new to them as well, and also to support students who are missing their turn-in dates to determine why and help them work with their teachers to get that missing work in as quickly as possible. Also, after the first quarter, teachers can autonomously determine the rate at which students require meeting. So after this time, it doesn't need to be equal rotations. You can meet with struggling students at a higher rate than students who are excelling, or however you see fit to meet with these students, as long as our struggling students are receiving the support that they need and that you're able to give. For oversight on this, there will be quarterly student surveys that will be administered and collected by admin to determine how seminars can best meet student needs, and this data will be transparently shared with teachers and student representatives. All right, we're hitting the home stretch. So for feedback loop, there are some concerns that these PDs would be forced. They will be offered within a set of PD options so that teachers can fit what best fits their areas of needs and development. And for IEP and 504 training, we had a ton of support, and so no changes have been made there. We made it. Within the 15-minute limit. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to email me, Pullen, or Douglas. Thank you so much for reviewing this and submitting your survey. We really appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Bye.